So, good afternoon. My name is Nathalie Goemans. I'm a neuropediatrician by training, affiliated to the Child Neurology and Rehabilitation at the University of Belgium in Leuven, and also consulting in a center in Antwerp that is specialized in providing services for children, adolescents, and young adults with all kinds of disabilities. And so it's my great pleasure to share today my experience on the evolution in the care of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And so, as mentioned, my experience is based on the work I've been doing for more than 35 years at the university hospitals in Leuven. I've been head of the neuromuscular program for children there. I'm currently emeritus. And on the other hand, I have been consulting, and I'm still consulting in what we call in Flemish dienstverlening syndrome. So, as mentioned, a service that's providing all kinds of help in different ways. I will say more about it this a bit later for children with disabilities. And so, yes, this is a picture of the university hospitals in Leuven. I see now that it's already an older one because there are still new buildings around. It's expanding all the time. And so over the past 35 years, we have been seeing 215 boys, young men and adults with Duchenne together with their families. And at that center, we provide the diagnosis, multidisciplinary care, but also research on neuromuscular disorders. And so, being an emeritus, I've witnessed a lot of changes in the world of neuromuscular disorders. And then when I started, I remember as a student sitting next to my supervisor who was disclosing diagnosis of diseases such as Duchenne. And at that time, it was just like giving a diagnosis and then saying, okay, we just take your child home and be kind and cuddle it and give it comfort. And so that was it. It was really terrible. But with improved knowledge on the genetic basis and pathophysiology, this also went together with a better the provision of better care for children with neuromuscular disorders. And so it was the era around the 80s that multidisciplinary care came into the picture, providing really a lot of improvement for the not only the life expectation but also quality of life of children with neuromuscular disorders, and more specifically for this topic, children with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And so now we are in an era where we have also new therapeutic development, and we are still hoping to find drugs that will be more actively disease modifying. But also we see that not only in the care but also in the society there is a shift, and we are more aware about the full picture of the disease, and focusing also on education, occupation, social integration, participation, because we know that these are all aspects that will really matters for the quality of life. Not only good medical care, but these are really things we have to provide. And this is just a few slides on a survey that I did in 2017 to have an idea what happened with boys that have been diagnosed at a young age, and what the outcome was when they got older, because they are like this transitional generation. And so I found like 101 boys that were born between 80 and 99, and I had data on outcome on 88. And so 33% had passed away at the mean age of 21.3 years. But as you can see, some of them had already died a while ago. There is a shift in the longevity of the Duchenne young men. And so the ones that were alive were 95 young men with a mean age of 23.25. And so this is like a cartoon showing the survival. As you can see in the cohort that was like between 18 and 23 at that time, we had huge percentages that were still alive, while on the cohort that were in their 30s, we had 60% almost that had deceased. So the causes of death The cause of death in these, almost 30 patients, there again, we saw what has been described, a shift to cardiac etiology. Most often, a sudden cardiac arrest in those young men. We had a few ones that asked to stop all interventions, and 21% died from respiratory insufficiency. This is also not surprising to see that in the cohort between 18 and 23, we had in the 90% of young men that were still on corticosteroids, while this was almost non-existent in the older population. And so this just gives an idea of the percentages of patients that were on non-invasive ventilation. What I've witnessed and what is interesting, reflecting back on the care and the management, is that there has been a shift in medical perception and also in society towards cardiorespiratory invasive and or life prolonging intervention in neuromuscular disorders. And it's almost, wow, I can't remember that in the 80s we were already, there was struggling, and we had to defend the use of non-invasive ventilation in stable congenital myopathies. And then in the 90s it went to progressive diseases, and we had also to fight and to defend this towards colleagues and society, that we really thought it was a good idea to provide ventilation in chronic progressive disorders. Now, in the early this century, we had debates about permanent ventilating neonates with poor neuromuscular prognosis, such as SMA1. And now we have also debate on invasive cardiac interventions in end-stage muscular dystrophy. So I have witnessed this shift in mentality. But striving for an improved life expectancy implies the responsibility to provide a qualitative life for adult Duchenne. And that's really what we as pediatric neurologists feel. We feel responsible not only to bring them through all these childhood and adolescence, but what about the adults? It's our responsibility, because we did our best before. And so I think this is well known. So the quality of life and the life satisfaction is affected, but it's not dependent on the impairments, but there are strong correlation with perceived control, social life, family support, recreational opportunities, and sexual relations. So we have to see how we can facilitate all these aspects for the young men and adults with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And so there comes my experience at what we call Dinston Verlening Centrum Heder. It's a center of services for disability-related issues in Antwerp. And the name is from Heder, an old Flemish word that refers to serenity, clarity, cheerful happiness. But also in botany, it refers to climbers, plants that need some kind of support to growth. However, the plant itself chooses how, when, and where it grows. And so there are multiple services within this organization. There's education systems for children with special needs between 3 and 21, with learning disorders, motor disability, autism, motor and mental disabilities. We have 5 campuses for those children. And there is a service of home guidance, of daycare. There is day and night care, there is boarding school facilities, and there are sheltered housing projects for different impairments. And we also provide respite care, so like temporary care for families that are struggling with supported care. And so within this institution, we have what we call the Bootsman, and this is sheltered housing for adults with severe neuromuscular disorders. It's a project that issued from the need to house and care for young Duchenne with special needs due to cognitive or social familial factors who need enhanced support in the organization of their care. We found at that time for those young men there was no structure that seemed appropriate, and it's a collaborative project with the adult Duchenne, the parents, and the center. So what I will present now is obviously just one way to organize care, and I think there are as many ways as there are young men with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and so organizing care will depend on many factors. As mentioned here, there are some socio-familial factors, but there are also finances factors, society, environmental, contextual factors that have to be taken into consideration. So this is just one experience, a very small experience in Antwerp, but I would like to share this experience because I think we can learn from, we can draw lessons from this. Maybe also get back to the name, the boatsman, because the boatsman is also an old word for the man with leader on the boat. He gives instruction to the crew on the deck. He's an experienced man. He has been sailing many oceans and withstand stormy weathers in difficult conditions. And as for the Duchenne man, his life depends on the way he will communicate, how he will pass his wishes and instructions, and on the optimal use of all his abilities. And he's distincted by carrying the special boatsman whistle, and well, we could see that there is any resemblance with the mouthpiece of the ventilator. So the boatsman, as mentioned, it was an evolution from a boarding school for children with special needs to a community of adult Duchenne living together and organizing their life with support of caregivers, embedded in a larger organization with expertise in care of subjects with neurological or neuromuscular disorders. It's part of a larger project and started from an early age. The aim is My World, My Control. It's optimizing quality of life through enhanced independence, despite the increasing physical dependency of adults with Duchenne. And so this aims at facilitating of responsibility, provision of support in all domains of life according to the needs and the wishes in communication with adults. But again, it's important to start at an early age. So in general, what we heard about those young men, what they wanted is a good balance between independence but also safety, and a good balance between independence but also social contacts, and a support in the organization of their care and daily life. And obviously they were aiming at having meaningful activities and warm relationships. So I won't go into all the details of this cartoon, but it's important to provide tools from an early age to organize and control care and life in all stages of the disease. So at a young age, there is the home guidance, there is education, there is a preparation for active role in community with focusing on abilities. And again, this is bringing me back to my early early years when I was student. So that at that time, developing skills or education was really not an important matter. While now we know that they may have some challenges in their academic achievements, but they have such important or interesting abilities that we really need to develop. And so there is this service for inclusive support, this sheltered housing. So we try to maximize the independence, and this to give support à la carte, so at demand. But we know that they really want to feel safe. They really want to have people around that know how all these machines work that keep them in life. Let's be honest. And so that's what we have learned, that the feeling of security is very important in combination with social environment. And so we have now a structure where they can progressively shift from just home guidance systems or having their own studio to a system where there is a full-time living unit with full-time support. Yeah. And important as well is the fact that they really want to have people that have expertise, personal assistants and caregivers that have expertise. And an important factor as well is that these units and this center is linked to neuromuscular reference centers that can give advice or where they have their spots on medium care when they come for the yearly evaluations. So the organization, there is a steering committee which comprise the adult Duchenne, the clients and the professionals from HEDER. They have an active role in daily life and future organization and decision of the administration. There is a shared decision about the use of the resources, the finances, the hours of personnel, the leisures and the activities, because let's make it clear, this goes with giving part of their what we call the backpack of finances that they receive. So they have to think, how many hours shall we buy? How shall we share the hours of caregivers to make it as affordable and feasible? And so they define also the responsibilities, and they organize work groups according to the skill and the abilities. And so, yes, so how can we use optimally the hours of caregivers? Do we need to change do we all need to take our bath in the morning? Can we make another agenda? And or who is taking care of the beer supply, and so on. So they have also different topics that they really want to discuss. Where they have, I didn't put a name on for obviously for privacy reasons, but they all have like their responsibility. And the organization of the summer camp, unfortunately, was with the COVID years was a bit more challenging, but they have had really nice camps and holidays, and this year we will go again. They've been around in Europe, and they really had fun together. But these are things that, how can I say, like just one individual it's hard to organize. So doing this together with some support is really great. I didn't mention this list. The sport they have, they are almost all have been or are still involved in adapted sport. Often it starts with wheelchair hockey, but now there are a number of them are really good in boxia, and they are participating in national and international championships. So I think, to conclude, and from my experience, what I've seen, there is a lot that we have to improve in the care for adult Duchenne. Also, from our experience, we know that the housing now is just not giving them enough privacy. We are moving to another setting in the center of Antwerp that will also hopefully have like a hotel function. Antwerp is a very nice city. I would recommend you to come and visit. But they will have a living place where they can be together, but they will have more privacy. Challenging is now with new financing is how to organize the care, how to put all the finances together, how to divide this, how to pay the caregivers. But I'm sure that we will get there. And where I would like to conclude is to thank those young men and adults that have learned me so much about living with Duchenne as an adult, not only from all the medical problems and the idea that we have to look at to give them multidisciplinary care, to give a good transition to medical care. I think this was the topic of yesterday. But more like how by being together, by working together, there is really a good qualitative life for these young men. And I have been really, how can I say, fascinated how they were living their life and giving us so much lessons about how to organize their care and living. So, thank you.